It's Fernando Ruiz Art.
Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in, and we are looking at the very next installment of my G.I. Joe series, and this is G.I. Joe's Communication Specialist Breaker. So Breaker's just drawn in pencil, and he's awaiting my inks, and then once I ink Breaker, I will be, of course, coloring him, and we'll do a whole video on that. And you could listen to me talk about my memories of Breaker. Okay, now recently, of course, hopefully you guys saw my videos on coloring this piece, which is now complete. Here's the finished piece with background, finished lettering and everything. Sexy Betty and Veronica with a little Archie doll there. And those videos were pretty popular, so I thought let's keep the fun going. And today what I want to do, and we're really starting from the beginning here, because as you can see, the page is blank, so we're going to jump in. And what we're going to do is draw Sabrina, the teenage witch. And so we're going to draw a sexy Sabrina. Sabrina's got her fans. So we're really going to see, and hopefully this is dark enough for you guys to see. As I always say, these early construction lines, when I first start to work out a pose, these are very, very light lines. So a lot of times, you know, I worry about how well they're going to show on camera. Or sometimes what I do is I go a little bit darker than I normally would. So, and that's actually what I'm doing here, just reinforcing. If you could see it, it's a very, very light stick figure. And, you know, depending on where you're at with your own confidence, your own security, you know, you might need less of a stick figure, more of a stick figure. This is really plenty for me. And now that my stick figure is in place, what I'm gonna do is kind of just flesh out my stick figure into a basic mannequin. And at this point too, you know, you're not worried about any details, nothing like clothing, nothing like anatomy, even things like proportions you could be a little fast and loose with, because that you could tweak later on. Really what you're concerned with here is just strictly the pose, just getting down that figure, doing what you want, where you want the figure to be. So, and what I do here is I kind of mix up a few stages here, or fuse together a few stages where, yeah, I'm not using formal basic shapes. You know, I'm not using cylinders, which I could, and certainly if that makes things easier for you, do so. But I'm not. I'm using kind of either ovals or things close to ovals, and I do that just because to me, it just makes the figure a little more organic and flexible, and just a little more easier to play with, to pose. Sometimes I find hard geometric shapes a little too stiff and a little too hard. So I'm posing Sabrina in kind of a cheesecakey pose, like she's laying there. And I'm not really worried at this point about what she's going to be wearing. Again, she'll probably be in something very similar to what I've decked out Betty and Veronica in the last couple of pieces. I'm also gonna try and get her very close to looking kind of like her original self. Sabrina now has been through a few different incarnations. And for me, I always prefer the original as drawn by the great Dan DeCarlo. Maybe maybe make her just slightly older. But I also like that classically Sabrina-ish bob, and give her kind of wicked-looking eyebrows and a kind of a sly smile. Believe it or not, my dealings with Sabrina during my 22 years at Archie were very few. I did do a couple of issues of the Sabrina comic when I was at Archie. There was a time, well, I started with Archie in 1994, and I don't know if that was the midst, but it was definitely going on while I was there, the Melissa Joan Hart Sabrina TV series. So while that was on, the Sabrina comic book was popular. You know, I guess it held its own because they kept putting it out. Once the show left the air, though, I guess the book started to struggle a little bit, because they were interested in tweaking it some, and really, while the show was on the air, they did try to make the comic somewhat similar to the show, as similar as they could. You know, on the show, the ants weren't the old-time classic witches that they had been on in the comics and in previous Sabrina cartoons. You know, her ants were always, you know, with the big witch hats and the big witch gowns. But on the TV show, you know, they looked like normal modern women, and they were actually even, you know, attractive, pretty. So they did that in the comics, and they did their best in the comics to make Sabrina herself look more like Melissa Joan Hart. So eventually, you know, like I said, after the show went off the air, they decided to try and reinvent the comic some. And the direction they wanted to go with was to make the comic book a manga comic, or at least have that manga feel. This is Archie flirting with manga, and I forget the year. I know it was in the late 90s. So the artist who had been doing Sabrina before the manga makeover, that artist left, and they actually had a couple of issues to go before the manga stuff was going to start. So that's when they called me in, and they asked me to if I would do, I forget what it was. I think it was about an issue. It was more than that. I think it was about I think I came in halfway in one issue. I drew one full issue, and then I think half of the issue, because they actually had an in-story explanation for why Sabrina all of a sudden became a manga book. There was an origin to that, and what that was, I don't remember exactly. So I did do the periods in between, and then I did a couple of and actually that was interesting working on that, because again, some of those books had already gotten started. So I mean, I was given a cover, and it was Sabrina, and she was standing in front of a UFO with a flying saucer with an alien coming out of it. And my editor, Victor Gorelick, he says, "Here you go, write a story about this." So I actually got to write a story too, and actually it was pretty fun, because I had to incorporate, you know, an alien and get a little humorously sci-fi-ish with it. So the basics of Sabrina is just about just about done. I have her where I want her. So yeah, and also I am treating her at the moment as though she were naked, and that's really just so that I could get the form. And at this point, yes, at this point I am thinking about things like proportions and making sure she is going to be the way I want her to be. And I know Sabrina purists are saying, wow, what about her freckles? Well, I'll put those in. And I'll probably really do those in with color when I add color to her. Let's see. So I'm going to give her a bit of a low-cut negligee. And good thing about doing the body first is that you can then drape things onto that body in a way that they'll look more natural, that it will it'll hang on the body more naturally. It won't just look like the body is, you know, the clothes are just painted on the body. So Sabrina is almost there, and maybe we could, just to incorporate her witchy nature, get in there with a bat. And somewhere around here, maybe right around here, I do want to get her buddy Salem in there, because Salem is always popular. Everybody loves Salem. So I'm going to get him in there. And I may finish Salem up later. I may actually change him so that he's funnier. And maybe what I might do too, just as part of a gag, I have Sabrina laying out sexy-ish on all these pillows. What if the pillows were actually ghosts? And these ghosts, they're happy to have a very sexy Sabrina laying on them. See? Instant gag. Instant cover gag. We'll work on Salem. He needs a little bit more to do, but I'll work on him later. So Sabrina herself is just about done. She is, I may tweak her a little bit more, but in terms of pencil, the figure is pretty much there. So I may go ahead and ink. I don't know, you know, if you're interested in watching me ink her, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to. Otherwise, you know, I may just ink her off camera and then come back and we'll color her on camera. So what do you think? How do you feel about my my Sabrina? Let me know in the comments below. As always, please click like, please subscribe. We are, as of this recording, very close to 600 subscribers. So thanks everybody who's been subscribing. I really appreciate it. You know, thanks for all the support. Thanks to my regulars, the crew who show up for the premieres every week, every episode, some of you. I really appreciate it. You guys really make it a lot of fun. So as always, keep drawing, keep watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.